right, kicking off another big hour here of the Steve Gruber Show. Glad to have you on board as we light the fuse from this foxhole of freedom, looking out for you and your freedom and fighting for this country every single day, giving you better analysis than anyone else. Here are three big things you need to know this hour on the Steve Gruber Show. Number one, Honda building a brand new plant to build the next generation of the Civic. Not in Mexico as first plan. Now they're going to build it in Indiana. You see, tariffs can make a big difference. Number two, the polling numbers keep piling in, and they continue to show that Americans are, by wide margins, in agreement with Donald Trump and the speech he delivered earlier this week. Supermajorities, in fact. And number three, how about the biggest winners and biggest losers of the week? First of all, the biggest winner this week has by far and away been Donald Trump. J.D. Vance might be second, but these two together. The biggest losers are the Democrats that could not stand and applaud for a 13-year-old child beating brain cancer, or for families whose daughters were murdered by illegal aliens, or for a 95-year-old woman who'd worked so hard to get her son out of a Russian prison for years. Democrats are the biggest losers. The list goes on, of course. Zelensky, President Zelensky, maybe the biggest loser of all. He's crapped in his own bed, refusing. By the way, in just the last little while, Macron of France says, no, we don't want a ceasefire. Ursula von der Leyen, no, we don't want a ceasefire. These people want war. They want it forever. These people have lost their minds. They want war with Russia. They want to push the Russian bear until the bear swings. And what I mean by that is with a nuclear weapon. Zelensky, huge loser. Other losers include the clowns at MSNBC, including the vile Nicole Wallace. She should have been fired, thrown out of the building by using a 13-year-old cancer patient as a prop for her devolving mental illness. By the way, Rachel Maddow should have been tossed out right alongside her for doing the same thing. Both of these clowns over at MSNBC using a 13-year-old brain cancer survivor as some sort of prop for their sick leftist ideas. CNN, another big loser. As were the globalists who thought they could knock Donald Trump down. They continue to fail while he continues to succeed, while Donald Trump continues to win. Oh, sure, there have been some setbacks, like being told you have to make the $1.9 billion payment for projects that were allegedly already completed by USAID. But honestly, that's pretty small potatoes compared to what is getting done in the first 40, 45 days. So I guess the biggest losers are those across the board that continue to underestimate President Donald Trump, his resolve, his vision, and his focus on making America great again. Those are the biggest losers. Caroline Leavitt took time to carpet bomb the reprehensible behavior of Democrats, being completely hateful. Here's part of what she said.
Democrats didn't stand to keep men out of women's sports. They couldn't even clap for a girl who got her head smashed in by a man on a volleyball court. Democrats didn't stand for an innocent and beautiful child who is surviving brain cancer. They opposed eliminating taxes on tips and Social Security. They didn't stand in favor of cutting taxes for hardworking Americans. They couldn't even clap for two mothers whose daughters were killed by illegal aliens. One of the only things that could get Democrats off their feet last night was cheering for Ukraine, not for America. Last night was a very clarifying moment for our country. The Democrats exposed themselves as the party of insanity and hate, the party that wants to put America last. They've allowed their Trump derangement syndrome to stop them from celebrating America and our people, and we will not allow them to forget that. And it's not just the Democrat Party. The mainstream media still doesn't get it. Last night, MSNBC's Nicole Wallace disgustingly looped in a 13-year-old boy with brain cancer into an attack on the president over January 6th. And CNN's first chyron out of the speech called it divisive. President Trump wasn't divisive. The Democrats were. And CNN was proven wrong by their own viewers, 69% of whom, in a post-speech poll, said they had a positive reaction to the president's speech. It's sad and frankly pathetic that Democrats and liberals in the legacy media continue to allow their hatred for the president to override their love for our country. But nevertheless, the president will continue to unify this nation through policies that are grounded in common sense and that uplift all Americans.
Yeah. There she is, carpet bombing. It's a bit long, I realize. Excuse me, but look, she got to the point. She nailed it. She nailed it. And I'm glad she did. Caroline Leavitt's turned out to be a breath of fresh air, hasn't she? Look, Democrats can't be bothered with any of this. And the only thing they stood for was Ukraine, but not for a ceasefire, not for ending the war. No, they want the war to go on forever. I do not get this for a moment, but Ursula von der Leyen, the head of the EU, Emmanuel Macron, Keir Starmer, the new Chancellor of Germany, Merz, I guess his name is. They all want war with Russia. They sit there and say, oh, we're concerned that Russia could invade and this, and yet they continue to want war. Russia's not giving you Crimea back. It's their biggest naval base in the Black Sea. You're not getting it back. Besides, those in Crimea consider themselves to be Russian. The Donbass and other far eastern regions of Ukraine, you're not getting those back. Now, you can say, well, that's appeasement. No, it's not. Those are areas that consider themselves Russian and always have. Much of Ukraine actually considers itself Russian. I, for one, am not willing to go to war for that part of the world. Are you? Do you really think that the Canadians, the British, the French, the Germans, any of these folks are going to send 20, 30, 40, 50,000 soldiers to the front lines to be ground up in the Kremlin's war machine? It's a stalemate right now. A long, slow grinding stalemate, and a couple of hundred people die every day. So just since Zelensky's stunt a week ago, we're at what, 1,500, 1,600, 1,700 more people killed and maimed, permanently disfigured for what? For what? Because the little midget dictator from Ukraine wants a war to continue? Because the globalists want a war, apparently a bigger one with Russia? Why? You know who wants war between the EU, between NATO and Russia? You know who really wants that war? China. China wants that war. Gives them the inside lane. They're not involved. They can step back. North Korea's in. Russia's in. China, no, they won't be sending anybody. They just want to stand back and watch it all disintegrate. Why? Puts them in the inside lane, puts them in the driver's seat, puts them in a place to capitalize and take advantage when the United States gets weakened by having to, if we get dragged into an Article 5 fight, it weakens us and drags us in, while China will put more resources in South America, Central America, the Caribbean, all over the South Pacific. You see, this is a plan for China. They want to provoke a war between Europe and NATO, and apparently the European leaders want the same thing. They're deranged globalists. They want endless war. Why? I'm not quite sure, but it's disgusting. I'll be right back. Hey, good to have you. Hey, don't forget to follow on X and Twitter. Get all the latest updates. Get them right now. Be a follower. Be part of this movement. It's the Steve Gruber Show.